Mismong mga Chino'y nagulat nang biglang sabihin sa China ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos gusto niya nang palayasin lahat sa Pilipinas. Base sa balitang kumakalat, hindi siya magdadalawang isip paalisin dito ang mga Chino kung magkakagera man sa Pilipinas. Ayon sa Pangulo, hindi siya natatakot sa pagbabanta na merong sasabog na China dito. Total meron naman tutulong sa ating bansa kung aatake man ng China dito. Kaya sagot sa tanong ng Australia ng Pangulo, sinabi ng Pangulong papalag siya pag binaliwala ng China ang ating soberanya dahil hindi siya papayag na maging sunod-sunuran lang tayo sa China. Pero sa tanong kaya ba natin sila sa gera, sagot ni BBM sa Australia,
let me start by asking you about the theme of sovereignty and territorial integrity. In your speech today, you said you talked about actions in your part of the world that were provocative, unilateral, and unlawful. And you said, "We shall never surrender even 1 square inch of our territory and maritime jurisdiction is our resolve. We will not yield." Now, these are powerful words. And the world has noticed how you have been more assertive than your predecessor in countering Chinese actions to block your fishermen from accessing their fishing grounds, to intimidate Filipino maritime forces. Why is this so important to you? Why have you taken this stance?
Took an oath, and then in that oath, the oath is to support and defend the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. We must defend the territory of the Republic, and that is a primordial duty of a leader. And that's why we have taken a very strong position in that we cannot allow a unilateral decision made by some foreign capital far away to somehow amend or to change those definitions in terms of our territory. So what we will do whatever it takes to maintain that situation wherein it is very, very clear that the territorial integrity of the Philippines cannot be threatened. And if threats are made, then we must defend against those threats. And it's for me, it's almost as I said, it wasn't a matter of policy choice. It is the duty that I took on when I came into office, and that's I continue to see it that way, and I think that every Filipino sees it that way, and they depend and they expect their leaders to fulfill that duty, to be true to their oath, to defend the Republic and its territory and its people.
All right, let me ask you about a different relationship, that between the Republic of the Philippines and the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's been a change under your presidency, a more greater openness and warmth, I would say, towards Washington, some changes in terms of access to bases and so on. What kind of a role do you want to see Washington playing in the Indo-Pacific?
Well, I think what the Americans are doing in the Asia Pacific right now is really a reaction to the developments in terms of the approach that China has taken as regards to, again, territorial rights. We have a very special relationship with the United States. They are well, actually, we have there are only 2 countries with which we have a visiting forces agreement. Number 1 is the United States. The second one is Australia. But with the United States, we have had for decades past, and the agreement in that mutual defense treaty is that a declaration of war to one country is the declaration of war to the other, and that has maintained, and that has been there for since very soon after the Second World War. And I think that role, we maintain that role for the Americans, and I think that it still serves as a stabilizing force somehow, and it still manages to be a force for the good. We need for it to continue to be a force for the good. We cannot allow it to overtake, as I said in my remarks, to overtake what are the essential priorities of the Philippines. And I've always wanted to make it clear, because there is a narrative out there that is going around that we are at the beck and call practically of the United States when it comes to these foreign policy decisions, especially surrounding the South China Sea. But let me make it very, very clear. The Philippines acts for its own interests. And the decisions that we make when it comes to foreign policy are decisions that we make because we believe and are convinced and know that it is in the national interest. It is not a policy that has been foisted upon us by any country. It is something that we have come to on our own. It is a conclusion that we have arrived at by ourselves, and we have acted upon those conclusions that we have made. So it really goes back to a rejection by the Philippines of a regression into the old bipolar Cold War formula, wherein the smaller countries, such as the Philippines, were basically forced into choosing. You choose to be with the United States or with the Soviet Union. And in a way, it was a simpler time, and it was easier perhaps for countries to make that decision. That is no longer relevant. That no longer applies. The world has turned very, very many times since then. And we define our foreign policy really very simply. Our foreign policy is grounded and anchored on the continuing promotion and work for peace, and the continuing promotion and work for the national interest of the Philippines. And that is what guides us. That is the principle that we follow, and I think it is the right one.
Let me ask you about the theme that you were just discussing, and that is the rights and prerogatives of smaller countries in the region. The powerful point I think you were making in your remarks today is that we can't shrink Asia to the dimensions of great power competition between the United States and China, that there are many countries in our region and all of us deserve a place in the sun, and none of us wants to live in the shadow of one big country. You said that we need to be active participants, not observers. Do you think other countries in the region are rising to that challenge? Are they being active participants in international relations, or are they simply observing the great power competition?
No matter where it is, that does not affect you, your country, your people.
I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to give the audience, or a couple of members of the audience, an opportunity to put a question to you. Let me ask you about Australia and AUKUS,
Yes.
because you made a point of mentioning AUKUS, and you said AUKUS will enhance regional stability. Why do you think that's the case? Why are you pro-AUKUS, and what sort of role in the Indo-Pacific do you want to see Australia playing?
Ngayon, ikaw, bilang Pilipino, ano ang masasabi mo at reaksyon sa balitang ito? Mag-iwan ka ng komento sa ibaba at atin pong babasahin isa-isa.